Welcome to the August 31st Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. Please add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees just so we know who's been joining the calls. All right, and I'll pause here for a minute to give everyone a chance to add things to the agenda. There's a topic that you'd like to discuss that you don't see on the agenda. Feel free to chime in now and we'll fit it into the right slot, or to bring it up during the meeting when we get to the right section. And then we do have a lightning talk this week from Lan. So Lan, do you want to take over the sharing for that?
Sure. Thanks, Dan. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Getting a black square right now, so.
It's still black square?
Still black square.
I can see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me then. So.
Okay, let me try again.
There, I see it. Okay,
perfect. Okay, so today's talk, basically I'm just gonna briefly cover TIS's release summary report. Some of you may already see this in the release issue. So basically, this is another way that we be able to list all the failures for a particular pipeline. Let's go back to the TIS's main page. So from here, we talked about the grid view, if you remember in our previous talk, where you can have an overview basically to look at those chiclets to see what is failed, what is passed. So if you don't remember what each chiclet is for, you can hover over. Basically, it shows you what this is standing.functional, this is extended.jck, so on and so forth. So this release summary, which it basically is give you another perspective listing all the failures in this particular build. So how you get to it basically is look at the first column. I'm looking at OpenJDK 11 pipeline here. And then in the first, find your build that you are interested in. For example, I'm looking at build 316, click into it. At the bottom of the page, there's a button called Release Summary Report. And when you click on that button, basically it will generate a report in a markdown format, and it will list all the failures or unstable, anything that's not success in this report. And then you can just click on the copy button. And then because it's a markdown format, it's easier to view it in the Git issue. The reason we do it in markdown format because we typically paste this for a release. So in this release summary report, we show the TRS build link, the grid view link if you want to go back to it, the link to the Jenkins build, who started, and the time when actually get started. There's two sections about this. One is about anything that's not regular test. So it can be SDK build, and in this case, package, or even smoke test. Smoke test is not part of the AQA test because those are basically really short, usually just Java version test to verify the SDK is runnable. So there's the first section, and then there's the second section, which shows you all the failed tests. So the result, it matches with the Jenkins build result, so it can be unstable, meaning the build is completed, but there is test failure. Failure usually means there's some machine issue that build didn't even get to completion or didn't even start. There's also, in some cases, you will see abort that just either abort due to timeout or abort somebody actually canceled the build. All those links can be clicked. So if you click, say, this link, it will actually link you to the Jenkins build itself. So you can look into the tab results. There's also So this is the parent build, just in case somebody were wondering. This is the parent build because we're running in parallel. So those are children build. In the parent build, there's no detailed test failures, but if you look at the child build, it shows you the failed build. Failed test in that particular build. And then there's, we can look at the possible issues. Basically, it's the same link that shows you to search into different repo to see if there's any related opened issue. And then there's a deep history. It basically shows you what happened with this test. Did this test ever pass? That sort of thing. So this is basically another way to list all the failures in addition to the grid view. And then this is mostly used in basically a release build. But if you, for the regular developers, if they want, they actually can use it for the personal build, their own personal build as well. So if they have, let's say, running some tests, then they can also click on this button to have a general view of all the failures, like so. And then that's it for the quick demo today. Any questions?
I was going to ask about the unstable versus failed, but you already covered that, so.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, if there's one child that's failed and one child that's unstable, they'll both get reflected appropriately in the thing, right? In the summary, I believe.
Yeah, basically we just grab the Jenkins build result. We don't change anything. So if Jenkins build result is unstable, then it will show unstable here. Same thing for the parent. Parent result is basically from Jenkins as well.
Lan, the possible issues, does that link to public GitHubs, or where does that link?
So this one, unfortunately, we currently will only search for open issues. So that one doesn't, the issue for that is already closed. But this is the same thing as you click on the possible issues here. Sorry, this one. So basically, we search for different Git repos and try to find matches with that test name. So we search OpenJ9 repo, adopt OpenJDK repo, adopt Adoptim test repo, and Adoptim infrastructure repo. Try to find is there any open issues that are related to the test that you're searching. I don't have probably won't be able to find because we don't. Oh, here we go. We only search for open issue, which we should update in the future. Search for the closed as well. But basically that's how it looks like. It shows you, oh, that issue that you search for or the test that you search for has open issue there. It could have multiple hits. That's just a quick way to show the user, oh, this is a no issue, somebody already opened this, so you don't need to reopen the new issue, or you can add a comment on that issue and say it also failed in this build, that type of thing.
Okay.
So this is a directly link to the Git issue, if you want to know here. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yep.
Cool. So it's the same thing. We just have a quick link here in case when we do the release charge, we want to know, hey, is this already is a no issue, or is it a new failure, or is this a regression?
Makes sense. All right, if there's no other questions, then I guess Lan will take over the sharing again, and we'll.
Sure. I will stop sharing. Back to you, Dan.
Then we will Just a reminder, next week, Marius, we have you scheduled for a Git Server update. And the week after that, Mark asked if he could give a quick intro to the IBM summary runtimes. The next 2 weeks we have covered. And we'll take a quick look at the recent user-raised issues. See that one came in with an assertion failure in the dynamic loader. This is related to the OpenTelemetry project. I think this would be really good to get some investigation on. Bobby, is there somebody that could take a look at this? Just for a bit of background, OpenTelemetry's sort of a standardized observability project. And they're working on standardizing the approaches to this. So we want to make sure that OpenJ9 is able to work in that space as well.
Yeah, I'll look to get this assigned out.
Is there anything else in this list that needs some discussion? I see that there's a couple of GC related items here last 2 weeks, but both appear to be having some discussion. Issue with exe files, looks like Adam's responded to that already. And a question about get process CPU load. Be good if somebody can take a look at this as well. Keith, I think you've been in that space in the past. Is this something you could take?
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that issue, but I think the answer is that's the design intent.
I'll tag you in it and you can respond there.
Sure.
Thanks. Right. Is there anything else in this list that people want to call out or see if needs to be addressed or needs some discussion here? We'll jump back and we can take a look at the Adopt OpenJDK dashboards. This is the old dashboards. Still continue to track our downloads. We see the same kind of pattern we usually see, a bit of a fall off over the weekend and then an uptick again in our downloads. So not surprising. Is there anything anybody wants to dig into further in these download trends? Jump back to the agenda. And the next major item is, of course, the 0.28 release for Java 17. Keith, I think you can confirm that the split has happened.
Yep, the branches have been created. We have our first build in the open was, I forget, one day last week. I forget whether it was Thursday or Friday.
Okay. Thanks for taking that on. I did want to check, Adam, is this something that we talked about having a milestone build today, I believe. Is this something IBM can accommodate and make open?
Probably not today, but probably this week. I'm just thinking. Yeah, I don't see anything. Probably next day or two. We haven't run 17 in a while though, so I need no issues with it.
Okay. Right. And then we are tentatively scheduled for either a GA or an M2 on September 14, depending on how stable our release is. So I guess that brings us to the big list of open items in this release, which has been the method handle work. Jack, do you have an update on that?
Yes, Dan. So last week, we have been able to fix a couple of sanity JTREC test failures that we are looking at. So I removed, I think, 2 failures that one was fixed by me and one was fixed by BevNeat. Right now, the only failures that we're seeing in the sanity failure are the intermittent MPEs and the one GC assertion failure. The JIT team is currently investigating the MPE. We had some progress made by the JIT team. They were able to, with some of their changes, they were able to get the intermittent to a very high level. At least the last time I was testing the JDK that was sent to me by Daryl, rather than we're getting one failure out of like 30 runs, we're getting it consistently. And the JIT team have been looking at what exactly is going wrong here. They have been able to confirm that other JIT failures have been fixed in the latest 028 milestone. The only thing that they're focusing right now is the MPE, and also I think Nazim from the JIT team have been working on getting the performance testing for Java 17 to be fully enabled, as they're having issues running some of the NASHorn tests in Java 17. So they want to spend some time re-looking at the NASHorn test and the Bumblebench, and also looking at the Liberty benchmark to make sure that they're not seeing any performance regressions, because their previous testing were mostly based on Java 11 and Java 16.
So you said they're trying to confirm that they don't have performance regressions. Do we have a view of what the world of what the performance is right now with 17?
They've been running Bumblebench, and their numbers, it was pretty consistent in line with what they have received in terms of Java 11. But because NASHorn was branched out, I think in 15, so they wasn't able to get that run. So they didn't confirm exactly what the performance is looking at for NASHorn.
But the Bumblebench results, demonstrating the typical Lambda usage, are, in line with what we were expecting.
Yeah, so I think previously Daryl have mentioned that we're in some edge cases 50% behind the OpenJ9 implementation, while in most cases we're within like 5% delta, and in some particular cases we're actually doing better than the OpenJ9 implementation. And that is carried over to the Java 17. Yes.
So you said there are still the NPEs, which the JIT team is investigating, and the GC assertion failure. Do we have an outlook on when we may be able to have these resolved?
We are hoping to get an update from the JIT team this week on Thursday from the meetings for 292. I will ask them to provide an ETA for when these will be fixed.
Because we're sort of rapidly running out of time to get these resolved.
Yeah. And I've also been working on verifying some of the sanity JTREC that have been excluded from a long time ago due to the implementation differences. I'm seeing which ones have been fixed by the switch over to OpenJDK method handle, and we can start enabling those ones in the Java 17 sanity runs.
Thanks, Jack. Don't see Daryl on the call, so I won't ask him.
Daryl is on vacation.
I will take a look at the 017 milestone, for which we still have 48 open items, and given we're 2 weeks away from the release, this is a concerning number of items to have open still. Can I ask each of the area leads to go through this list and to please move things out that won't be completed, or to close out anything that should have been closed and just hasn't been processed yet? I don't think that we're going to resolve these remaining 48 issues between now and the release. So I do ask each of the leads to go through this list and figure out what has to be resolved and what has to be moved out, just so we have an accurate view of where we are towards that release. Toby, can you communicate that back through the IBM channels as well?
Sure. I will say that because Daryl's away, we may need to get someone else. I think Daryl was the one looking at most of the JIT failures, most of the JIT issues. But yeah, maybe some issues there.
Okay, I hope that there's somebody identified as a backup for him for this week, and so hopefully they can help bring that list down. Great. Is there anything else that we need to discuss? Actually, I guess the big elephant in the room is, do we currently believe our September 14 release date is actually plausible?
I think it's going to depend on how quickly the known method handle issues are fixed. Given that we have 2 weeks till that date, I think we will need to be ready at least a week in advance. You know, get everything reviewed and merged so that we can have a clean build. Right now, I think the current round of testing has already shown some of the issues that we know we have that we're still investigating. So I think the September 14 date might be too aggressive.
Okay. We'll have to touch base then next week on this call about where we are with regards to that date, and what kind of message we want to provide to the community around when we'll be able to deliver Java 17. Just if I look down, we were targeting our code split for the 0.29 release on September the 5th. So if we're letting this slide too far, we're going to run into issues with getting 0.29 out. There is not a huge window between the initial GA of 17 and release of the first milestone. Should be cognizant of that as well. Right. Yes, that does bring us to the 0.29 release. That our code split for that is September the 5th, which does not give us a lot of time towards that October 19th GA. That's a date that we really do not want to miss. So we do need to figure out how we're going to resolve this and get both of these things released in time. All right. Do we have Shelley on the call for an update from Adopt? Don't see her. Is there anyone else who has an update they want to provide there? Okay. We'll skip down to Adam. Is there an update on the infrastructure?
Yeah, sorry. Not too much to say. Raj did take the Arch 64 machine offline to reset it up with Ubuntu 20 with KVM, and then he'll have the guests as half Ubuntu, half sent. Other than that, just keep an eye on the Artifactory space because it is creeping up. So take action soonish. Other than that, I think we're nothing to be reported.
Thanks, Adam. I don't see Devin on the call. Toby, do you know the state of CMake? Are we close to completed all the work here?
I believe there's still some work for the cross-compilation stuff for ARch and RISC-V. There's still some work to be done for the closed J9 Java 8 work. But otherwise, for all Java JDK 11 plus builds on all platforms, we're good.
There's a suspicion that CMake is interfering with, I think it was trace points that have some effects on our exhaust builds, but we don't understand them yet.
Okay. All right, so we'll continue to track this then, I guess. Marius, is there an update on Git Server?
Very short update. So there was a last minute change related to method handles just before we split, and that introduced some breakage into the Git server. So we are working hard to solve those failures. So the failures that we are seeing are only limited to Java 17, but that's the release that we are going to release.
So we're still on track to GA with 17?
I'm hoping so, if we solve these issues. Let's see.
It's not a reassuring message given we're 2 weeks out from the release there.
Yeah, I got you.
Right. Don't know what the date is on the next MicroJit meeting. 2 weeks out?
I think we canceled this one because I'm on vacation this Thursday, so we canceled this one. I don't know. I have to check.
Okay.
But it's I don't know if I have. I'll get back to you. I'll fill in the text later on.
Thanks, Marius. Kobe, is there an update on the Snapshot Restorer?
Most of the focus has been on JDK 17, so there hasn't been much progress on that.
Right, I will. Should I assume the same for the Project Loom efforts? With 17 shipping, we probably need to get this up and running again.
Yeah, but once we're done with the 17 release, we'll get back to that stuff.
Cheng, is there an update on Panama?
Actually, I'm currently still working on the native code on the OpenJ9 side, specifically on sub-allocator for the generate sunk, and J team will start working on the prototyping the sunk generator, but there's still quite a lot of details about in terms of parameters and return type passed on the sunk, so we still take a lot of while to get there. Yeah, that's everything.
Don't have Peter today, so we'll skip over the update on the spell checking tool. And this is probably a longer discussion than we can resolve today, but I'll just mention it again. There was a question around OpenJ9 and Health Center, and basically boiled down to what is our monitoring strategy going forward. Mark responded that, let me pull up Mark's response so I accurately, so the fact that it is not currently open sourced, Health Center is not currently open sourced, and doing so would be close to a dump and run. That we probably need to get somebody to look at JFR support and what we could do in that space given the existing hook and trace features that OpenJ9 has. So, this is something that we do need to figure out a story for what we're going to do for this, especially for newer releases, if development resources are not being put into Health Center. I know we've had different efforts around this in the past, but it might be time to spin this back up again and figure out what the right answer is for OpenJ9. I don't know that we need to try to solve that here today, but it is something we do need to think about and maybe meet separately about. Is there anything else that we want to cover today? All right, then thank you everybody, and we'll have the next one of these calls on September the 7th.